Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of Supernatural and the fanfiction it inspires. I'm Kasey.
I'm Sandra, and today we're chatting with Mary, creator and co-host of the Supernatural podcast, Carrying Wayward. Mary's podcast debuted right around the time the Supernatural series ended in 2020. It isn't just another rewatch. It focuses on character and lore and offers thoughtful critique of the show. It was one of the first Supernatural podcasts I listened to years ago, and after a year-long hiatus, Carrying Wayward returns with new episodes on September 13th, which also happens to be Supernatural's 20th anniversary and the day we're recording this episode. We're excited to chat about what got them interested in starting a podcast and its much anticipated return. So thank you for joining us and welcome to the podcast, Mary.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for inviting me. I always have such a good time usually talking to other podcasters, especially in the Supernatural fandom. Like it's always a blast, and I've made some really good friends. And so thank you for, getting that started here.
Yeah.
We're working on that relationship.
Absolutely. I have to thank Crowley's Mistress for connecting us, because I had asked in our Discord months and months and months ago, because it's been a while, because we do have a backlog of recording episodes. And I just said, do you have some podcasters I should reach out to? And Crowley's Mistress was like, yes, Carrying Wayward.
Yes,
I was like,
one.
yes. I was like, okay. I'm a little, I've listened to their shows, so it's a little bit of a big deal. So yes, thank you. I appreciate you coming on. We love this kind of stuff because we are obsessed with Supernatural and a lot of the different aspects of the fandom and how people express themselves. And, I know for you, one of your ways of expression is your podcast. So I didn't know.
What a day to record, though.
Yes, there's a lot of stuff going on for you, too, because I don't know how we want to do this. This is when I get excited and I start to throw out a bunch of questions. Ooh. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to reel myself back in and go, Sandra, wait. So what I want to ask you first, is there any background about yourself that you'd want to share with our listeners if they're not familiar with you and the podcast?
It's me. I'm our listener. I'm so sorry. I have the ADHD thing where the brain doesn't do the listen unless the hands are doing the thing. And yes, it's me. I'm listening. Today I'm listening. Sorry.
Well, so basically when I don't really know where to start with this, because I'm like, I could start here, but then there's something else in the background that kind of needs context. Mm-hmm. So to kind of get all of the context, I think what's important to know about me, especially in the context of Supernatural, is that I only started watching around 2017. Because Ooh. I started US election period of 2016 was a weird time for me because I was kind of finding my voice in many ways. I lived through a very significant breakup also, a couple of days before that election.
Gotcha.
And I was just so excited to stay up late and watch the election results and be like, you know what? At least there's going to be a first female president in the United States. As we all know, that did not happen, right? And so I was kind of and I'm Canadian, right? So I'm not even directly impacted by this.
But you were so invested.
I could argue,
you were so invested
in
our
was
country.
Invested, Absolutely. And I mean, we do have, that's a whole other conversation, but there are absolutely repercussions to anything that happens in America and other countries. But anyway, let's leave that aside for now. And I was just I think I was just okay, well then everything sucks, right? And so I started watching a lot of different series. I started with The West Wing because a lot of people were watching it at that time. Mm-hmm. I rewatched all of Gilmore Girls, and then I was like, well, what do I watch now? And Netflix was like, have you considered Supernatural?
They suggested, didn't they? They did that to me too. They suggested it. Yes. It's a great picture of Sam and Dean, just staring at the camera. Mm-hmm. Yep, indeed.
Yep. That's exactly what it was. And I was like, you know what? I liked Jared Padalecki in Gilmore Girls. Let's try Supernatural. Mm-hmm. And it was just from there, it was just a thing that happened. And a lot of my life started revolving around Supernatural, but I never really got into the fandom until, well, for those who know what that means, November 2020, I suppose. That was like my thing. And I had just started grad school at the time. I'd started doing my master's, and I was like, oh man, I'm so nervous speaking to people. Like, I really need to get better at thinking on my feet and responding to comments that I'm not necessarily expecting. I'm like, what better way to do that than to start a podcast about Supernatural?
I mean, that's a great idea, though. I fully support
that it was. Thank you.
Yeah. It does teach you certain skills, right? Like, and I don't think you realize that until you start doing a project, maybe like this, that's so in-depth and detailed. Yeah.
It certainly gets you over the, oh God, my own voice.
Oh, doesn't it though? Yeah. Now I'm like, oh yeah, it's just my voice. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm not as grossed out with the sound of my own voice as I used to be.
Yeah. You only got to listen through a few episodes and you're like, okay, this is what I sound like to other people. All right. But the first time you're like, oh God, is that, oh no, that's not what I sound like.
Yeah.
It's like the thing that you say stays the same, but the tone changes. At first it's like, oh, this is what I sound like to other people. And after it's like, oh, this is what I sound like to other people.
Yeah. It's honestly, everyone should like make one episode of a podcast. Even if you don't see it all the way through, just do one. You'll be surprised what you learn about yourself.
I agree.
It's interesting too, because I think the more that we talk to different people about Supernatural, it does seem to be some sort of, I mean, I'm assuming a comfort thing for you too, or something that like gravitated you towards it at sort of like an important moment in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We have that a lot. Like, I think, I mean, for me, I can't say it was, I think it blew up like during COVID and the lockdown, but like I'd already started like sort of watching it, but I think it kind of took over in a way that kind of offered this comfort and escape, and things are going to be okay here, even if they're not okay everywhere else.
Everywhere else, yeah.
Well, I think that's really what kept me invested in the show back in 2017, right? I was like, well, if if Sam, Dean, and Cass can actually like make it through this, then like I can make it through my day, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have Kasey ask their question because I think this should be a good spot for it. Yeah, your
putting
question.
Me on the spot with things
because it seems like I need to know now, and I think you need to know as well.
Fine. No, I'm kidding, of course. So, do you feel like, and it's totally fine if you don't, like, I'll put down both, it's totally fine. But if you do you feel like you have one brother or the other that you kind of like, is your blorbo that you kind of gravitate towards, or are you like vibro, or is it somebody else, or?
So that's a tough question, because when I first started watching, for me, I was like, oh my God, I am Sam Winchester's long lost sister or something. Like, it was just, I felt such a kinship with him. Even through the later seasons, right? Like, there's something that kind of like draws me to him in a way that is like, the trying to find yourself through the worst of times kind of thing, right? And to try to be okay with the things that you've done. Like, those are the storylines that I love for Sam, and that really speak to me. The thing is, I find that story-wise, he's not given much in the last few seasons. Like, there's clearly a shift after, I would say, like season 9, where Sam is there, but the storylines don't really do him justice, I think.
Yeah.
And so I also, how do I say this? I just, it's easier then at that point to kind of like gravitate towards Dean, because I also feel like there are a lot of his storylines, particularly with post-traumatic stress disorder, or what I interpret to be post-traumatic stress disorder, that I find absolutely relatable, right? And like the difficult, and Sam does get that too, but like the way that Dean deals with his painful past, I find is very relatable to me, because it's like kind of the way that at one point I used to deal with my painful past.
I think we've all been there where we're like, if we just ignore this, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's categorical.
And then it's not actually fine, right? Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I don't know that I have a favorite brother, because I just don't think that that's the way that I look at the story, but I do find it sad that Sam doesn't get like good stories after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the cool thing is to see them evolve together, right? And with the other characters also, and how they interact with those other characters, like separately and together, like, because that's also really cool.
Do you have, because we're
This
talking.
does not help me with my table whatsoever.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna take some artistic license here and put you down in the Sam Blorbo column. I have a full ass table about this. We've asked every guest.
Okay.
It sounds like if you identify, it sounds like there was a lot of identification at the beginning of
At the
him.
beginning, yes.
Yeah.
I think that it was definitely Sam, but then as time went on, I have to say that I think it was Dean. So like I don't know. You put me down wherever you think I belong. But I'm happy either way.
I'll put a note down that says cannot really choose between.
There we
We have a
go.
note
There you
section
go.
now.
There we go.
This is getting tense now, Sandra. This is 23 to 24.
Okay.
And I don't know what's going to happen. You have to find Dean people immediately. If I can't complain, that nobody's going to be happy. Okay.
We've come a long way, baby. We've come a long way. We've come a long way with that.
Yeah, that's very true.
We were actually just having a conversation with some of our listeners about like a favorite season, like say plot. Because we're nothing.
Because we really like making people choose things. Mary, that's the thing. We're
I
just
see
like
that.
things. No,
what we did was we ended up having to split it, right, Kasey? We had to split your favorite season based on 2 factors.
Well, what we were doing is we were doing like our first kind of like public live stream where we posted the link outside of like our Discord server. So we just thrown together some questions, for like new people that would like maybe hadn't like interacted with us outside of listening to the podcast. So it was like, like, can you pick a favorite season of Supernatural? And then the chat was like, no, but no. So we were like, okay, if you could only watch one season for the rest of ever, which season would it be?
Oh,
and
no.
then I knew my answer for that immediately. But then Sandra was like, but Dean looks the best in this season. And I was like, okay, fine. You get 2 choices. You get 1 season for the plot and 1 season for the aesthetics. And then I couldn't choose. Because I don't know which aesthetics season I would have. I still don't know, Sandra. I can't. Like, gun to my head, I don't know that I could choose.
Is there any is there anything that stands out to you, Mary, about like at least plot or like a season that like, you thought was really great?
So if we start with aesthetics, because I think that'll be the easiest one for me to answer.
You'd think, but no.
Well, I mean, I think for me, it's oh my goodness. I hope that is the right one. So it's the season with faith in it for me. I think it's season 1.
Yeah.
Season 1. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. For aesthetics?
For aesthetics, yes.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, see,
you're
talking about like the great cinematography and stuff. We're talking about who we want to look at.
Oh my god,
who looked the hottest? But you know what though? That is
your answer.
No,
your answer
I
is
love that answer because like I got it. I was like, because even when we was like, I'm thinking who looks the hottest. I'm like, but I would raise cities for dying in a hoodie, Dean Winchester. I would burn them to the ground. Okay. Look at him. He's so tragic in his big hoodie that doesn't fit him. And he's all sad. And like that girl from Dexter is in that episode as well. And I always feel a little bit conflicted about that.
Oh my god. This is
just got a lot harder, didn't it? Does it help you to know, podcaster to podcaster, that we have a playlist on YouTube that is entitled Help We Can't Stop Ranking Things because we do this. We're like, well, what is your favorite? Oh, I don't know. There's too many. Let's split it up by season and episode, and we're a problem. It's us. We're a problem.
It's us. So welcome.
Okay. Now I'm just like scrolling through episodes right now to try to help me because I'm like, I am going to make the wrong choice.
There's no wrong choice. No, there's no wrong choice. There's no wrong choice.
You would think.
Hey, I said when we were talking about which season would you rewatch for the plot before we'd like broke it up, and I went season 1. Like I didn't even have to think about it. Season 1. And like Sandra in the chat were like, "What?
I was
really?"
having a harder time with that than the like hottest one. Like, because I was like, I don't know. There's so many really great seasons with plot and the way they like when you have a good run of episodes, right? You're just like, oh my God, these just fit perfectly.
Yeah,
and they
these
have
are
this like
really
beat
good.
and rhythm to it. And it's just like, so picking a season for that plot I found was harder for me than aesthetics. I'm just like season 9, Dean, all the day, all the time. Like I just, that would be it for me. Like if I could only watch him in one season, that would be it, would be season 9.
He is really attractive in that season. That's true. But then this one. Okay. So, oh my gosh, I'm sweating. Okay. What is happening? I think that in terms of, if I could only ever rewatch one season for the rest of my life, it would be, and this is going to be controversial, but it would be season 13.
Oh,
the reason why
yes,
is because it has some of my favorites in there. You have Jack, who shows up. I love Jack. You've got episodes like Advanced Thanatology that really draw on like that horror genre that was so present in the first few seasons. But then you also have like various and sundry villains, which I really love because it's like the funny side of Supernatural. What else? What else does it have?
Is that the season Charlie dies in?
No, that's 10.
No.
Oh no, that's earlier. Yeah, that's
no.
earlier.
That would be like a curse for me to have to rewatch that.
That's what I was thinking about because I'd confuse the bad guys.
So the apocalypse stuff, you kind of you're in like apocalypse world is kind of like does see that's the thing about season 13 that I don't know. It gives me some issue.
Hey, we listen and we don't judge.
No, I know. I'm just asking. Yeah. How about beat that? So beat the devil. That must be. Is that a? Okay, we'll be all day talking about the show, and then we'll never get to any of the questions.
Is that the one?
Which one is beat the
devil? Which one is that already?
The one where Sam's in the gets killed by the vampires.
Oh, fuck that episode.
Yeah, no, I don't like that episode. It's so unnecessary. And like, it doesn't, anyway, that's not what we were talking about. And isn't Let the Good Times Roll the one where they hook up like Jensen Ackles to like the wires and the cables? With the bad fight? Is that what it is?
That's
also?
the end.
Yes.
That's also the end of 13 because it's right before Michael's, like the Michael
there
thing.
You go.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that
I got really confused then because I went, no, that's 4. No, my brain went, no, that's 4 with the chains and stuff because I'd completely forgotten.
Yeah.
Like,
all that.
I've started rewatching this show a lot of times. I've never got past season 8 in a rewatch, so I've only watched like 7 to 15 one time. So I'm like,
really
hit the the broad plots for the latest seasons. But so I was like, no, that's 4 when he's remembering hell. That's not. But yeah, no, he did have an aerial fight that was so dumb.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I'm allowed to say that because Jensen also says that it's dumb. So I'm allowed.
I watched The Lost Boys recently, and that's a 1980s movie, and they did a better job of people flying around in than what happened there.
as a Pete Jackson Lord of the Rings fan, need to shut my mouth.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's also like the corniness of it by itself. Like it's kind of like it captures a side because I think that Supernatural has like so many like little facets to it, and
Absolutely.
I think that is one of the realities of it is that sometimes the visual effects kind of suck.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of the campiness of it. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
and so to me, I think that represents that really well, and I think that season just has a lot of like things. Oh, and there's Wayward Sisters in there too. Like I don't know, it's there's Tombstone. Tombstone is really good. So it's like there's a lot of really good elements in that season, and there's also like a coherent storyline, even though like it might not be to everybody's taste, which I completely understand.
Yeah, Apocalypse World just kind of stretched me a little bit. That's all. It's like I was like, it was a lot. It was a lot there. But no, good. I'm glad. So choices. But did we get hotness, or was that one that we didn't get yet? Like if you had to pick a hotness season for you,
So
I feel like that's got
all of them?
that's going back to who's your favorite blorbo? You know, like
yeah, exactly.
Well, if you had to pick one for Sam and then one for Dean, we could give you both. If you had to pick one,
we can give Grace one.
Yeah.
Oh, we can give Chris that. Okay, because I feel like I would go a little bit. I would go before they start slicking back Sam's hair. I think.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
But also when Dean's not too young, kind of thing. So like maybe does it? Yeah. See, that's already done. Season 12, he already has slick back hair. So maybe like season 11, season 10, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're particularly handsome in these seasons, I think, and so is Misha. Like I think there's something there.
There's something there for everybody. Good.
I hold a real candle, and this is quite difficult to reconcile with current feelings, but I hold such a candle for season 4 Misha. Really,
yes.
I don't know,
yes,
that
that's
it's
true.
The big entrance with the wings.
I know.
I'm just.
I mean, I think that really counts as like one of the best show entrances ever.
Hands down.
How can you possibly anyway, it was amazing. It was so good. It was so good.
I think we kind of hits maybe like broad strokes, like, and I think we'll get more into overall thoughts on the show as we get more maybe into the podcast. But you did say that your podcast debuted in 2020.
That's right.
Why did you decide to do the podcast about a show that was ending?
Because it was ending. Frankly, that's what it was. I was like,
you weren't ready to let it go? Did you not want to let it go?
No, I was certainly not ready to let it go. I was really sad that there wouldn't be a new episode every week, and so I was like, well, and keep in mind that at that time when Drew and I were talking about this, it was like late summer to fall 2020, right? Like we started recording, I think, in September or October.
Okay.
Like around this time, actually, 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I know, right? So cool. And I was just like, I wish that there was more. And I was like, other people must feel that way, right? I can't be the only person who feels that way. And so I was like, well, creating a podcast is probably going to bring people together. And I figured, let's do it. Let's try to create a community around this show. Of course, I was not aware that it already existed because I wasn't really active in fandom spaces at that point.
Okay.
But when I found that fandom space, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool.
What came first? Like, I mean, had you listened to other podcasts or supernatural podcasts, or did you just really not know about the fandom at all?
Not us, obviously.
Well, yeah.
We didn't exist.
We wouldn't exist back then. But like, it really was the podcast that made you realize about the fandom?
What made me realize about the fandom was the night that 1518 aired. So it's the night of the Destiel confession, right? Like the big moment, the I love you, the goodbye Dean, the all of that stuff. And I was just like, because for a while I had kind of, and I know that this podcast isn't about shipping, but I really just want to talk about my own interpretation of the show, right? Like it's not.
Absolutely. We fully subscribe to Ship and Let Ship.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
100%.
Absolutely.
Tell us about your Destiel feels, Mary. I want to know.
So I was just like, for a while, actually, the reason why I gravitated towards Sam at the beginning was because I could not understand Dean. I was like, why is he the way that he is? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I've talked about this story on like my podcast and other podcasts before, but the moment that I saw the man who would be king and they have that look between each other, like Dean looks back at Cass before he leaves and it was like, where were you? Like, I was right there. Where were you? Kind of thing. Like they have that exchange. And I was like, oh my God, they're in love. and that way, like I kind of had an epiphany, I guess, in the way that I understood Dean Winchester through the show. And I was like, oh, well, everything makes sense then because it's a facade that he's putting on. Like he's not actually that way. He's trying to make other people believe that he is the way that he is that way. And then like the more the show went on, the more like it kind of like tackled that a little bit. And I think for me, it kind of culminated in Lebanon in the 300th episode where he's like, I'm good with the way that I am. Like, I'm good the way I am. And I was just like, I remember bawling in front of that episode, being like, oh my God, he's accepted himself.
Aww.
And so I guess like that went, and so obviously after I was like, I had only talked about like that ship to my best friend who was aware of the fandom, not really a part of it. But she knew the show. She knew the show very well. And she's Rochelle Castellano, actually, who's our producer on the show.
Okay.
And so when I was on Twitter that night, obviously, because it was like a night, right?
There was a lot going on. Yeah. And everything was happening.
Going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything was happening, and everyone was home on their phones and on their computers, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I see, oh my God, they did it. Destiel. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. And I'm like, what is happening? Right? Like, what is happening in Supernatural? And so I started clicking on what people were saying. And I'm like, oh my God, they did. No, they did not. No, that's impossible. And then like clips started coming out of the confession moment. And I was like, oh my God. And that's how I got introduced to the fandom. Probably on the most unhinged night of that fandom
what
ever.
What an entrance. Yeah, good Lord. Go big or go home. And
absolutely.
I'm sitting here now thinking, this could not be more evidence to the fact I am married to the most oblivious human being on the planet. I love you, babe. He doesn't listen to this. Because I'm in the UK. So I had to wait until sort of like UK afternoon to watch the episodes because of the way CW would like put them up on the website after they'd aired on TV. But I watched 15 live with my husband.
Wow.
And so we watched 15, 18, and it was the credits roll, and I just like pause it, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he looked no. And I went, I think that was a romantic confession. And my beautiful, dumb husband, who I love endlessly and dearly, went, no, I don't think so. I don't think it was.
Oh.
And now I'm just like, just having that reinforced yet again. I'm like, oh, sweetie. But we went back and forth on it. I was like, I think it was. I don't think there's any other way to read that. That was like a romantic confession of love. And my husband, probably still to this day, is like, nah, they're just bros. Nah, just really good bros.
I mean, listen, that kind of opened up a lot of conversations also online. I don't know why I'm going into this, but it opened up a lot of conversations online about like homoeroticism between men in male friendships, actually, because some guys were like, no, that's like, and
they're just bros. I've never said I love you to one of my bros, but they're totally just bros.
Right. So anyway, yeah, I think I should stop here. But the things that I heard, I was like, oh, honey, sweetie pie, no.
Yeah.
No,
that's not
a
straight thing to do.
No, I remember watching it too. And it was one of those moments where I remember I was watching with my husband too. And I was like, oh, they're going to do this thing. And Ted was just looking at me like, what are you talking about? I said, there's something's happening here. And he was like,
was Ted also like, no, they're just bros?
He was in the, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
We are married to the most oblivious people on the planet.
But like I said, I think it really does, like you were saying, Mary, like how people are viewing the lens through, right? Like everybody views it differently and everybody comes out with something different. There's layers that people pull back, and some people are just like, no, I'm good with this surface. Or I'm going to dig in here and get into what, my brain and headcanon and fanon and all these different things are putting together for me based off of my evidence that I'm finding. So it is that's one of the things about this show, man. People come up with all sorts of different,
it's always something different.
Ships and characters and all of those things. And like I said, we are ship and let ship pro ship. But we also identify that everybody's got their thing that they gravitate towards, and people should be allowed to enjoy that, without it being a hostile environment all the freaking time. So that would be a nice thing too. So yes, totally get it. We love that you shared that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
That must have made
out about the fandom.
made the last couple of episodes like difficult for you as like, you know, as someone who is invested in that ship, because like I'm like, I'm sure you've listened to episodes, I'm not invested in that ship, but even I was spending the last two episodes
irritation and frustration.
Are they gonna address that? Is that gonna and then the next episode with the call? And I was like, guys, you can't.
Yeah,
because I remember me and Sandra were in a group chat with a really good friend of ours on Twitter at the time, because that was just where we existed in internet space. We were like, we don't want to do Tumblr, ew, gross. And we did spend time going, are they just not going to talk about this? And then the next, there was like a bit, the next episode came out, and we were like, are they not gonna address this? And then the final episode came out, and we were like, bro, no one had a fucking conversation about this. Not one cunt on this TV show had a fucking conversation about this, and was like, we should probably address that. What?
Yeah, that was, I felt frustration for the people that were invested in that, because it was just like the way that happened. Even as someone who was like, not invested in that romantically, but invested in
in the relationship,
the friendship,
no matter how it's viewed. Yeah, exactly.
I was just like, I don't feel like you get to do romantic confessions of love as somebody dies for somebody else, and then be like, and we're just never going to address that again.
Yeah.
I mean, I could literally talk about this for a whole podcast episode, so I don't know if you guys really want to start me on this.
What we're going to do is we're going to have you come back, and we're going to break this down. That's what we're going to do.
Have you done this on, because I haven't listened to every episode, but have you done this on your podcast at all, or do you try not to, like when you dig into it, or are you preparing yourself for having to have that conversation when you get to that episode?
Yeah. So we're not there yet. We just started airing as if, but like we just started releasing episodes for season 9. And I don't think I've ever talked in front of a mic about those last episodes, to be honest.
Be a lot of unpacking there. Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of unpacking there, because like you said, I think even if you choose not, or even if for you, like the layer of platonic relationship, platonic friendship is enough, like Dean still basically went to the ends of the earth in order to be able to find Cass when he thought he was dead, right? And so it just felt so unsatisfying that he was just like, oh yeah, let's just go eat some pie, dude. And I was like, but that's truly also how I felt about sorry, that was good. That's also how I felt about all the other characters. Like, we never hear about Jody again. We never hear about Donna. We never hear about, like, otherworldly Charlie. Like, all of these characters, we just don't hear about them again. And yet so much time had been invested. There you go.
Hearing about everybody's journey, I just find so compelling, and I love that it's still, the show is still doing that for people, and you still find people that want to talk about and share their story about how they got involved, how invested they are at all the different things that they end up doing for this show, like start a podcast. You said one of the reasons too is for like being able to, I guess, have dialogue with people was one of the reasons for you wanting to do a podcast, but it sounded so good right from the beginning.
Tell us your secret.
And you probably think differently, possibly, but like we think about our first, and we were like, that's cringe moment. But so what were the resources or the support? You talked about a producer, like, to get the podcast off the ground. Like, how much of how long did you think about this process before it started, and what were the different behind the scenes things that got you to like release your first episode?
So I think there were a lot of inspirations. So even though I had never listened to a Supernatural podcast before, I had certainly listened to podcasts. And one of my favorite podcasts at the time, without promoting the actual book, was Harry Potter and the Sacred Text, because I really enjoyed their approach to Harry Potter as if they were like reading a sacred text. And I thought that was so interesting. And I'm like, this is so cool. And kind of coming from an academic background where like you also look at text as like your primary source of data, I thought that this was like a really cool thing to kind of like look at Supernatural as text, right? And to kind of like pull things from there and like untangle certain things. And so that was kind of like my idea from the get-go. It was to try to like go into the text that is supernatural. And you'll notice that at the beginning, it's very focused on the story plot, like the story and the plot. But then as we go, we start like supernatural, the text also becomes like the behind the scenes and the opinions of the producers, the thoughts about the writers, some things that they've said on Twitter or at cons and whatnot. And so that all becomes like the paratext of the show. And so that was like the main inspiration. Now, the other thing that we did that was really smart, in my opinion, was that the reason why I had reached out to Drew for this is because I knew that he had previous podcasting experience. And so I was like, there you go. You're going to be able to like lead us through certain things and like direct the conversation when it needs to be directed, etc. So there you go. That was another good thing.
That was your problem, Sandra. You came to me.
Exactly.
That was it. If you could have gone and found anybody else that was, semi-professional, and you were like, no, I would like to do this with you.
It's like, hey, we have an idea. I have this idea. Who wants to do this? And Kasey was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it with you.
That's awesome.
What's great about it is that he's more new to Supernatural going through it with you. So, I mean, like he hasn't experienced it at all. Like he's going through it like episode by episode. For the first time, had he watched a little bit of it? I'm trying to remember the details. Ever like before?
He had watched, I believe, until season 4 or season 3 or something. Okay. But there was like one episode that really turned him off, and he was like, never again. And look at him now.
Oh, goodness.
Was it Mystery Spot by any chance?
It wasn't, actually. I don't think he had seen Mystery Spot before.
Okay.
Yeah. But there was one that really annoyed him. Now I can't remember because it was so long ago that we talked about this. But yeah, he was just like, no, I'm never watching this show again. And now we're at season 9.
The power of friendship.
Exactly.
You said you have a producer that
we
helped.
Sure do.
So was she in from the very beginning as well?
So the producer is my best friend, Rochelle Castellano. We have been friends since we were in the 3rd grade. Yeah, we're longtime friends. And she has a background in fine arts and marketing and all of that stuff. And so she has an eye for things, right? And an ear for things. Gotcha. And I was like, hey, Rochelle, do you mind like listening to this podcast? Like there's, Drew and I are trying to make this happen. Like, plus, the show, like, what do you think about this? And so she listened and she's like, I have thoughts. And she called me. And from there, I was like, okay, well, we need you. And she's like, I'm not going in front of a mic. And I was like, but then you can maybe edit and like do stuff. Okay. You can And so she's been really helpful in making sure that like we sound good. We sound good, both like in the technical sense that like our voices sound good, but also like when we say really dumb shit on a mic, like she makes sure to take it
out. That's what I do.
That's what Sandra does.
We all need a Sandra.
Yeah. That's great though to have like all of those different parts and components. How about the cover, like I say cover, but like the podcast art? Like was that something too that you like thought about for a while? Yeah. Did it have a couple different iterations, or how did that come about? And the title of it. How did you come up with the title?
Oh man. Okay. So what happened with the title of it originally, I don't think anybody knows about this, but we were originally going to call it Carrying On with a Wayward Son. And the wayward son would have been Drew, right? Like the carrying on side. Mm-hmm. And that was his idea. Like he's the one who came up with this. And I was like, I love it. Let's do it.
That's awesome. I love that so much.
And then like we pitched it to Rochelle. She's like, that's good. And then she didn't really say much, but she was like, okay, sure, whatever. And then like, as we were like just working on the email and this and that, it started becoming like, we started calling it Carrying Wayward. And we're just like, no, this is actually much better. And Rochelle is like, oh, thank God. She's like, this is going to be so much easier for creating a logo.
Yes, indeed.
Talk to us about creating logos when 3 of the 4 words in our title is the same letter.
Oh, gosh.
Yep.
There you go. And so for the logo, it was hard to ask for Drew's input with this because he had only seen like the first, 2 seasons? And like that was almost 10 years ago that he had seen it.
Right.
so really what was the freshest in our minds was the first season. And so we're like, okay, well, Carrying Wayward, we're driving. What about the Impala Grill? And then we just kind of played with that. And Rochelle, having her background in arts, she was like, okay, well, let's make something that's going to look good if we print it like on a t-shirt, if we print it like on a sticker, or if we make a pin out of it. And so it kind of became like we did this like thinking ahead to the things that we couldn't really think were possible. Like we didn't think about, like we were, but we were like, oh, and in our wildest dreams, if we ever make a t-shirt out of this kind of thing.
That's how we were.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the thought and the inspirations that came into like all of that.
Did you find that some things were working in the beginning, or some things needed to be tweaked as you continued like through? Like, was there a point in time where you're like, I have this idea of how I'm going to structure an episode, but do I need to I also love that you would take like a word and you would focus on that, like almost as like a theme. Was that always there in the beginning, or did that kind of get added in?
Sandra, I'm starting to get a complex about how much better than ours this podcast is.
It's really good. It's really good. You should.
Oh my God. We all have our space in the podcast. But it's true. It's really true. Like I firmly believe that. We all have our space.
Yeah.
We change our format and like we make tweaks all the time. So with every season, we try to stay consistent for a season. And then after that, we always have this moment where we kind of look at each other, all three of us, and we're like, okay, what worked? And what do we want to change? Or like, what do we think could be better for next season? And for I don't want to speak for Drew and Rochelle, but for me, doing that is kind of like a renewed commitment with each season where I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's try it this way and see how we feel. And so it always feels like there's something new to do. So because I mean, like 15 seasons of a TV show is long, and like TV shows that are not like 10 episodes long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, if you're going through them one by one, like, you know how demanding it can be to do this week by week. And so I'm like, I think that for me, having that like moment to stop and think and readjust is like a saving grace. And also, like, I think it's very representative of what we do in real life. Like for everything, it's like, you're not going to go through your life doing most people anyway, don't go through their life doing the exact same thing every single day. Like at some point you got to stop and think like, what's working here and what's not. And so I think that that's what we do every season.
Yeah. There's an evolution, I think. And I mean, Kasey and I do this as well. And I'm also interested in how you record and pace yourself in addition to real life. Like when you're recording a season, I mean, are you finding time to say record a couple of episodes, say like in one day? How do you all manage to get that to fit and find the time to reflect after you're recording a season?
So the whole reason why, so what we did before season 9 is that we would record on a week-to-week basis, and we would edit and put out the episode like within a week. And of course we were like a couple of weeks ahead.
God.
Yes.
Could you spare some talent for the rest of us, please? Good Lord.
Well, it burnt us out. Like by the end of season 8, I was like, I need to stop, or I need to either take a break, or I need to stop the podcast altogether, because like that is just too much for me and I can't do it anymore. And so that's why we went on hiatus, because I was burnt out. Like there were a lot of things that kind of I needed to change in order to be able to do this more sustainably. And one of the things that we started doing with this season is that like we'll have like production periods. So like for 2 weeks, we record like one episode. We'll start by like watching and taking notes, because we also do have some notes, right? Like we never go in without any notes. Like we have our thoughts like written down, and then like depending on where the conversation takes us, of course, some of the stuff, like it's not scripted in that sense, right? Like we will ad lib, we will have actual like real conversations, and oftentimes like we're also just responding to each other on the page, and then it shows up in the podcast. So we do that for a couple of episodes, and then we'll record those episodes like within like a week or 2 weeks. Like we'll just do one after the other every second night or so. And then, so like now, for example, we've recorded all the way up to, I think, episode 12 or 13. I can't remember. Okay. But we're only starting to release them like now. So even if we weren't recording anything until Christmas, we'd be fine.
Yeah.
And that has been like such a relief for me because I no longer have like that weight of like every week is a big deadline kind of thing.
Yeah. That's how we were for a while too. And we were like struggling to kind of figure out like how best to manage, you know, our time between like real life and this. And I think we've come to somewhat of a happy medium where figuring out, and again, it could always change. And I think because we're not a rewatch podcast, so it's like we don't know what's coming up next, but we've gotten more, I think, intentional about how we structure or schedule them out. Like, you know, we try to like have different things that have a theme to them now, or reach out to different people, talk about fandom, talk about the show, talk to a creator, those kinds of things that we're doing more intentionally than before. We were like, well, we need to hurry up and come up with something that we can talk about because we have to put it out next week. You know, I think that's where we were getting, and we were getting burnt out with that part of it. But yeah, giving yourself the time to get a buffer. Then Kasey and I are always like, you know, we're like, where was the buffer? Where did the buffer go? The buffer's gone. Like the buffer's gone.
Oh my God.
1 week you're like, we got like 2 months of episodes. We're totally fine. And then literally the next week we're like, we don't have an episode. What the fuck happened? What is this?
No, but that's the reality. And I think like, especially when it takes time to edit, like when you do any kind of editing, like it's a lot, and it's a lot of pressure to put, you know, like all three of us have lives, like we have demanding jobs, you know, like, so yeah.
I've said to a fair few people, some of whom are like just started like taking their first steps in the podcast world. A lot of people think podcast and they see this little bit here that we're doing where it's like, oh my God, you get to chat with your friends on Zoom or you know, wherever you record, and you just have a chat about the episode and it's fun. But everyone just sees that couple of hours where you get to talk and have fun, and they're like, there's the marketing and there's the editing and there's the preparing and the notes and the research and the social media and everything else. And I'm like, it's a second fucking job. It is a second job.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
You got to commit to this.
Yeah. And I completely agree.
Again, like when you came to that conclusion that you needed the break, what was it that you did decide, I think we're ready to come back? Was it because you all had like a moment of like, let's reflect and let's figure out something different? Or was it just you really wanted to continue on the journey with, you know, that your listeners, or what was that experience like? Did you get a lot of like people going, oh God, I miss you guys and all that kind of stuff? Like, how was all that during that hiatus time?
Oh man, it was a weird time because we have a Patreon. So one thing that I was particularly concerned about was like, I don't want people like sending us money every month if we're not putting out episodes, right? Like that was a big concern of mine. And it was one of the pressures that I felt also, like to put out an episode like every week.
Right.
But then like, I think, so Rochelle also works like in fundraising. And one of the things that she said, she's like, these people are all adults. Like they can put a pause on their subscription. They can stop the subscription altogether. You know, we've never kicked anybody out of the Discord, right? Because they stopped paying the monthly fee or whatever. So like, it's not like we're going to start kicking people out. Like the Discord is always going to stay as it is. And if people need, if they want to take a break, they certainly can. And I think the only thing that was important for me anyway, was to say like, we don't know how long this is going to last, right? Like there were other things that I'm not going to get into today, but like it like I just didn't even know if we were really going to restart it at that point, because I was really burnt out. There were a lot of things that I was like, I don't know, like this doesn't work for me. And so a lot of people were really disappointed, and it happened around this time last year, actually. And so people were actually really nice in the sense that like, they were like, oh, well, we're going to miss you, but we understand. So I was like, okay, well, that's really good. And then we started getting some questions around spring-ish of like, hey, are you guys going to start again? And I was just like, well, yeah. And that's also like when we kind of like, a lot of dust had settled and all three of us kind of like convened again. And we were like, okay, so what do we want to do? Like, this is the perfect opportunity for anybody who wants to like hop off this train to hop off, right? Like, but it's true. Like, just to kind of like give that space to be like, you don't actually have to do this because this is a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, this is a hobby.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be fun. And if it's no longer fun for one of us, then like this is the time to hop off the train.
Right.
I'm starting to think
and
you and Sandra might be the same person.
I ask Kasey that a lot. I'm like, whenever it just starts to feel like it's just too much, or you're just tired, like just let me know. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because you want it to stay fun. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, Sandra.
Yeah.
I think maybe we're kindred spirits.
I think you might be. It's getting a little bit Fight Club in here. Just a tiny little bit. Yeah. Sandra's exactly the same. Like, this is supposed to be fun, but then Sandra's the one that will also drive herself into the ground for stuff, and I'm like, baby, please.
Yeah, that's me.
But I think,
me too.
But I think it's because too, like you said, like I don't know, you feel invested. Like the community, I find, is so very special that, like, it's a tiny community, but the community that we've built around with our listeners, like they just love listening to us every week, and it's like to know that that's something that they look forward to means a lot. To me, it wasn't anything I ever could have imagined. Like, we would get so excited if we got like 2 views for something, or like, we had like 2 followers. And then like, I mean, again, like we're not like big, but like I think we're consistent, and we haven't really changed. We've changed a little bit in terms of our focus, but we're still us, you know what I mean? So it's like, as long as you're inherently still you, people will go along with the ride if they really enjoy you and your take on it. And I think that that's something that I'm assuming your listeners were like, hey, we miss you.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about coming back?
And isn't that the nicest, that there are people out there that are like, I miss you. And you're like, oh my God, I'm out of.
Oh my God. Thank you. I'm like, I don't know if I miss me, but thank you so much. I'm happy to know you miss me. But yeah. Oh my gosh, I have so much to respond to with this, because like, it's like, when we started, I remember us thinking like, what's the bar for success? You know what I mean? Like, after 2 months of releasing episodes, like, how do we know if like this is still worthwhile? And I think it was me that was like, well, listen, if we have more than like 5 people listening to the podcast every week, like, I think that's pretty successful. And yeah, there you go. So that was like our threshold for success. And it still is, frankly, like, because the world is such a shitty place sometimes that like, if you're able to bring a smile, a moment where like people can focus on something else, like if you're able to bring a little bit of entertainment to this world, then I think that, then you should do it. Right. Like, that's kind of how I've felt every time that there's been like a really big, and in the last few years, there's just been so many. But whenever there's like a moment of like, what is it that I am doing to make this situation, this international situation, better? Really, my only answer is like, well, I'm providing a moment where people don't have to think about it.
Yeah, I agree.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's great.
100%.
You talked about research and notes, and that you kind of have like loose scripts and stuff like that. Is there somebody that comes in a little bit more like, is there somebody that's very much like by the book? Because Kasey and I find that we are good because we balance each other in certain ways. So like, whether you're talking about Drew or is it Rochelle? How do you guys like make that Venn diagram work together? You don't have to call anybody out, but kind of call somebody out if you.
I was very on the spot. Don't worry about it. You don't have to name names.
I think so. Again, like, keeping in mind that we've been doing this for 5 years now, like, I think at first it was definitely me that went in really hard with the notes because it was also my crutch in so many ways. Yeah. Because I was like nervous about having to speak in front of a mic, and like, one of the ways that I found to manage stress was to actually like write down my thoughts ahead of time.
Right. You guys are really not convincing me you're separate people. Not even a little bit. I think if you like, I don't even need to say if you're honest with yourself, Sandra. I think that was very much you at the beginning of this.
Absolutely.
Like, I need my notes and I need my scripts,
like,
and I need to know
can't improvise.
What's happening.
I don't know how to do that. That's not a thing I can do. I can't. It scared me to death because, and Kasey's like, I can do the thing. I can riff. Let's go. And I was like, okay. And I was like, nope, I have a script. I need to read the script every time. This is how we need to start. Yes.
But that's also exactly, I think it was also hard for Drew to kind of like understand that it was like important to me, because he was like, I kind of like Kasey. Oh, I can work this out. Don't worry. Like I could be, I thought that's Drew, right? Like that's who he is. And that's why like the personality works on the mic. And like, that's why, because again, like you said, like podcasting is a lot about personality and authenticity. And I think that, you know, it's always kind of a balance of trying to like make sure that our personalities are coming through, and not to sound scripted, but also to make sure that like we have something of substance to talk about. Because the episodes where, because like the episodes where we haven't really taken the time to reflect ahead of time kind of fall flat, for us anyway, because it's like, well, what is it that we really want to talk about? And so it's tough because Drew is the first time watcher. I'm like the quote unquote expert in this expert. Love that title for me in this case. And so it's like trying to balance those things where like, I want to know what it is that Drew gravitated towards in this episode. And a lot of the time, or sometimes it'll be like towards the stuff that really doesn't matter in the greater like scheme of things. Right. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so interesting. Sure. Go ahead. Like enjoy yourself in that little detail that you're never going to hear about ever again, because Supernatural is just written that way.
It's not fun though. It's not fun when you have someone that doesn't know the end of the story, and you're like, oh, that's an interesting
theory you've got there. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That must be so great though, because we were doing that with my husband's nephew for a couple of episodes, and he kind of dropped out of it a little bit. We're hoping to get him back. But it was so great.
But he was a unicorn. Yeah. Like he was aware of Supernatural as a TV show that existed, but he was like a unicorn that he'd never watched it, and he'd never got into anything about it. So he watched season 1, and we were like, so tell us, like, what do you think is going to happen? And then there's me, Sandra, and Sandra's husband, all sitting on our hands going, that's interesting. That's certainly a theory. Yeah.
That is a thing that they could have done.
Are there certain episodes you're really looking forward to Drew's reaction from coming up?
Yeah. So we're doing season 9. So let's see what we still have to do in season 9, and I'm gonna pull that up.
I mean, I'm thinking the ending.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm wondering how he's going to react to that one, or if he's going to call. Is he good at calling? Is he good at figuring stuff out? Like in terms of like plot, has he nailed anything? And you're like, I can't tell you about this for so many seasons until you actually get to it.
It's interesting because there are a lot of his like guesses so far have had to do with like things that would have been absolutely amazing if they had chosen to go ahead with that storyline.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And so it's kind of hard to say, but yes, he does guess fairly accurately for some things, but then for others, like the show tends to jump the shark sometimes, and so it's like, oh my gosh, okay.
And I think after you get a certain ways into the show, which is probably around where you are now, the writers start forgetting what they've written as well. And so many, producers and showrunners and things, so many things have changed that you could have absolutely nailed something earlier on in a season, like that's foreshadowing, that's going to come back, but somebody in a writer's room somewhere has completely forgotten that it exists, and it never gets brought up again, and you're like, but my payoff, but
that was so good. Could you please have done that?
Yes, I was right on this, and you just did my payoff, guys.
Goodness. Well, it's kind of like the Antichrist, like Jesse the Antichrist, right?
Oh, don't even talk to me about that. Don't even fucking talk to me about that episode. I will die mad about that. That is another one that I'm like, nope, nobody had a fucking conversation about this. Nobody's like, we're going to make an Antichrist child, and then we're just never going to bring it up again.
Never going to talk about it.
Yeah, I know. I fully agree. And I think that like Jack is kind of like an answer to that without necessarily pulling up that specific storyline, which I'm like, okay, well, I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. But it is very disappointing because like, I do think that bringing back Jesse would have been like delicious, right? It would have been such an interesting thing to dig into. But there you go. That's the show for you.
Look how well balanced you are on this. You're like, yep, well, that's fine. And I'm here like, don't even talk to me about that episode. Just don't even like. I'm pretty sure that episode ranks like it ranks somewhere in my like in one of the ranking episodes that we've done a lot of them. That's not so many. we're actually releasing one in a couple of weeks that we recorded back in like January. January just kept being pushed
back.
It
off. So like, no, it doesn't fit. Yeah, no, we have to slot something else in. Yeah.
I think that's the emergency backup episode that we're like, we have this one in our back pocket.
It's good to have those.
It's so good to have those.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have?
Go ahead. Definitely. It's in one of my like bottom 10 episodes for that reason. I was like, this was so dumb. This was such a good idea, and then they just ruined it and they never followed it up.
Yeah, so, I fully agree with you. Honestly, like, there's really nothing more to say than that. Like, they really fucked it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm sorry, you could have had a showdown between like Jesse and the Angels, or Jesse and Chuck, or just Jesse and anybody, please.
Or Jesse and Jack. That would have been. I mean, that would have been pretty.
That would have been so interesting.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Nephilim of Lucifer and the Antichrist. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of great stuff.
I'm not all right with
it. Not better. I think we were talking a little bit about fans.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm bringing it back. We're talking about the fans. And then the one thing I do love that you started putting in was you called it Angel Radio. Can you talk about that and like how you brought the fans in to the podcast?
So that was something that I really wanted to do from the beginning, which was a really big gamble because there was no guarantee that people were ever going to send anything in, right? Like that was like I think it was the scariest part about it, where I was like, well, we might have to axe that entirely.
Right.
But I really wanted to do it because frankly, it was because Harry Potter and the Sacred Text did it. And I love that segment because it allows the hosts to kind of like be confronted with an idea or with a thought that isn't each other's. And so you're getting like a different process to respond to those than you do to respond to your co-host. And I thought that it was really important to kind of like bring that in because like, I mean, as amazing as Drew and I are, we're not the be all end all of the Supernatural fandom. And I think it was also a way to like pay homage to the fact that like we don't exist in a vacuum. There are a lot of other opinions out there. And so we brought that in. And at first we started asking our friends to send in voicemails. We were like, please help us.
Yep, we've done that.
Yeah, exactly. If you go back, you'll notice that like Rochelle sent the first one.
Oh, so cute.
Oh, that's the bestest. I love that.
Yeah. Well, because we were like, because that was like my first ask of Rochelle. I was like, can you please like send us a voicemail? And she was like, yeah, what's it for? And then I sent her the episode that we had recorded. And that's when she was like, okay, I have thoughts. And she called me. So that's how she became our producer. But then, we have like our friend Amanda who sent in a voicemail about like, so that's kind of how that started. And then people took to it. And the only reason why we're able to still have this segment on our show to this day is because people listen to it. And it has become my favorite part of the podcast because it's a reminder that like, we're not doing this again. We're not doing this in a vacuum. We're not doing this alone. Like there are a bunch of other people who enjoy listening to us and who are invested in us seeing it through. So yeah, it's just like you were not alone kind of thing, like always be fighting, like all of that, like thing about Supernatural too, that is like so important.
Yeah. We actually just talked to somebody who we've had on twice now, and she's an author, Nixosity. And she said she's been like playing catch up with some of our episodes. And she's like, I was fixing my hair and I was screaming because I had thoughts that what you guys were talking about. I'm like, well, here now you've got the time. Talk to us about it. I can't remember what it was, Kasey, but it was like something in particular. But it was fun to get that, to get that feedback. I can't remember, but it was whatever it was. It was very interesting to like have her just be a part of that discussion that she had heard us listen to. She listened to us talk about.
Yeah.
So I do love that you can get, and I think our Discord does that. We have like a listening booth.
We've cultivated that with our Discord and our community spaces to say, hey, I mean, like we obviously we interview people as well, but we've kind of reached that out with our community and like, tell us, give us fic recs and talk to us about you think. And we have a listening booth in our Discord where, the episodes get pinged to, and then it's like free for all, talk about the episode, talk about what you thought. And it really does help remind you, especially if you're in the trenches a little bit with your editing or whatever, you're like, nope, there's people out there that are with me on this, and I'm This is what we're doing it for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's such a powerful reminder.
Mm-hmm. Do you listen to them like fresh, like right while you're recording, or do you listen to the fan voicemails beforehand to get an idea? How do you do that for each episode?
So we always listen to them fresh. I start them like 3 to 5 seconds before Drew, just in case there's like a big reveal. And I would, like, that's never happened, but I would just be like, stop. Nope. You can't listen to that. But nothing that we've heard. People have been very kind and very invested also in keeping Drew's like supernatural virginity intact.
Nice.
You know?
Oh, that's so nice.
That is nice. Very nice.
Well, I think it's also like it's like a mutually beneficial situation because like they want his like real and authentic reactions, and so it's important for them that he stays like as untouched by this as possible, even though again, like he often talks about like what does he call it, he's like cultural osmosis. He's like, well, through cultural osmosis I knew that this was going to happen, but like I had no idea how, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
That's it. It just by dint of existing on the internet, certain things you just know,
like,
don't you?
He has seen the Destiel confession meme that like everybody announces every big like news to, you know, like
I remember when that was a huge thing on Tumblr. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
You know what I mean? Like he has seen that. He knows that something like he's not.
So he knows Supernatural has a meme for everything. He just doesn't know the context of it right away.
Exactly.
He's like, oh, that's what that is. That's what that's for. Okay. Oh,
sometimes he'll go, cute. Oh, I'd seen that before, and I'd always wondered what that was. I'm like, yes, and now you know.
Aw. Yeah, I find that so fun to go through it. Because again, like one of the things I talk to Kasey about a lot is like, you know, I'll never get to go back and watch Supernatural for the first time again. And it's kind of, it's a little bit nostalgia, and it's lovely to get a new perspective from somebody, or like, oh my gosh, I thought this was so cool, or you know, like, or just getting, like you said, a different reaction that you don't have. And it's I love that part of it too, is like, you know, having that fresh perspective.
That was
on an episode.
That was one of the things that I really loved when we were talking to Joey, our little supernatural unicorn, because he would fixate on things that we've read the end of the book, you know, we know are not important in any capacity, and he would be like, I really think this is going to be important. I really think this is going to come back up, and you're like, that's so interesting. Again, like everyone's sitting on their hands and gritting their teeth, going, "Oh, that's certainly a take that you've got that." We can confirm, not deny whether it's right or not, but you're like, that's so interesting to, you know, like the things that people fixate on that you might not ever have even thought about and considered. And now I'm sort of sounding it out and thinking about it. And I'm like, and I wonder what, you know, if you could go back, if you could wipe your memories and go back and watch Supernatural with 2025 eyes, with everything that's happened, how would you view it? You know, if you could go back to, you know, who you were in 2000, I wouldn't. I was in high school.
Well, the distance, right? Like the longer it is. I mean, like I keep, because I mean, I don't know if you rewatch a lot. You probably do. Maybe you do. I don't know, Marie. Do you watch a lot? Do you rewatch?
Not anymore. I used to rewatch a lot, and then like it kind of became a job, and so I haven't really rewatched for pleasure since, you know. But I used to rewatch quite a bit, like up until I think 2022 or something.
Yeah, and I know going back, I'm just, oh my god, they're so little. Oh my god, they just keep getting little, and like, and somebody's pointed out, no, you're just getting older. I'm like, what? They're getting little.
No, shut up, they're getting babies.
They're getting littler.
I'm not getting older. Shush.
But like every time I see the little Netflix, like I just watched, they showed a little clip from the pilot, and I'm just like, oh my god, they're so little. And it's just the distance and the nostalgia and like the decades then, like it does become so time capsule-y, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what a thing. And it just, there's so much about this show.
And I know myself, I'm so guilty when we get into some of the like more controversial topics and like, you know, things that didn't hold up very well, and season 7, Time for a Wedding. That's not it.
I couldn't possibly imagine what you're talking about.
All the other instances where it's not sexual assault if it's against a man. Anyway, Moving on.
Yeah.
I'm really guilty of looking back with like 2025 eyes and being like, well, that's just, you just can't do that. And I would really like to be able to go back to that time and watch it. Because it was normal then. The things that we now go, oh, babes, you can't do that. That's, I would just, there's not many things I'd mind work for. A few books and this TV show. 100%.
Yeah. Then I also wonder, would I have the same, I don't know. It's like, it's weird. Like, how would it affect me the same way? And I don't think it would. I think it needed to happen in the time that it happened for me to be this
for sure
important in my existence. Like I could imagine maybe having watched it, at another time or place. Like
another time, it wouldn't have got me the way that it got me this time for sure. Yeah. But I would just,
it'd be interesting, right? I'd maybe like to be able to do a switchback, maybe like here. Yeah. Maybe you'd like this version better of how it turned out. Well, it's doable.
I think that there's something to be said about like, we'll just take an example of like the sexual assault against men being funny on the show, right? Like, because that's always how it's treated. It's always treated as funny, or as the butt of the joke. The thing is, like, sexual assault was never funny. You know what I mean? Like, and it was never, regardless of who it was done against, it was, it was never funny. The same way that, like, calling somebody gay was never, or should have never been an insult, right? Like, it was never funny back then. It's not funny now. And it should have never been funny. And I think that, the things that we are saying about the show today really are reflections of, like, how we have also grown to say about society, but about ourselves, about our friends. Like, I for sure had friends that, said, oh, that's gay, as like a bad thing. I'm 37, almost 38 years old. Like, I am literally the same age as the brothers. Like, I'm really in that age bracket. And so the whole, like, sexual assault against men being a joke, like, yes, it was a thing back then, but it should never have been. And so it's also a way to kind of realize that, like, who is the butt of the joke and why, and to think about humor as a tool for oppression. And I think that, if we bring that into today's perspective, like, who are comedians making jokes against? And is it punching up or is it punching down? Like, who is the butt of the joke and why? And so I think that, reflecting on a past era, really, because that's what it is, also allows us to kind of, like, reflect on our current era.
And the hopeful growth, I think, that some people are able to make and some people, unfortunately, don't. I think.
While ever there's still someone in a Facebook comment going, oh, wish my teachers had me, or don't know what he's complaining about, blah 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 blah. While ever there's still people saying those things, these conversations still need to happen, even if they're about TV shows that are 20 years old now.
Exactly.
We still need to, it's still a problem, and we still need to talk about it, and I still hate that fucking episode.
Absolutely.
I know, like, with podcasts, like, it's podcasting becomes like its own little community too. Have you gotten the chance to connect with other like-minded Supernatural fans who also podcast?
Yes, obviously. Us, we're right here, Sandra.
Well, yes.
There you go.
Of
course.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we've inspired a whole other podcast, actually.
Oh, awesome.
I know, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So there were two people that were like, I mean, I want to call them friends because that's what they have become, right? And who were part of our Discord server. And, like, I ended up meeting them at a con. And so, like, it was just like, well, that's the thing. Like, the community, like, your pocket friends can also become, like, quote unquote real life friends.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's kind of the thing where, like, there are some people that I met in the fandom and in the community that have become real friends, right? Even though some of them I've never met, even though some of them I've only seen, like, for one evening at a con. It's just, like, the depth of those friendships, like, doesn't, like, it's not dictated by whether or not, by how you met.
Yes.
Like, I have some very deep friendships with some people that I've met through through all of this, right? What I would say for me is that like one of the most life-changing friendships that I've had through this podcast and this experience was with Jeremy Greer, who was the co-host of Monster of the Week, and then a lot of other podcasts that he did with his co-host Chris, but also with other people. We co-hosted a series, a podcast on Hannibal, the TV show Hannibal. And it's, I don't really know what to say about that because he passed away not too long ago. And so it's still very fresh. And I think it got me to think about what those pocket friendships actually mean. And that's what it kind of comes down to. It's that for me, it doesn't really matter that they're pocket friends, they're friends, right? The communication happens in a different way and the hanging out happens in a different way, but the emotions and the relationships are still just as deep.
Absolutely.
I think that's something COVID sort of brought out of fandom as well. You know, when everybody had to talk to the people in their phone and they were like, oh my God, no, this is just as meaningful. And, you know, I'm still just as connected to you, even though when we can't talk face to face. And then, you know, but people were like, you have to go back to the office because maybe. That's not
exactly.
It's like choosing your family. You know, it's like picking the people that are part of your family, which I think, you know, again, it makes it very special. I mean, like Kasey's one of my ride or die buds, you know, and it's like we've never met in real life, you know. Hopefully one day, you know, knock on wood. But, you know, I mean, it doesn't make our friendship any less important because we can't get to hang out. We make time to hang out and do things that people are like, why are we doing this again? Why are we doing this again? You know, so it just makes it more special because you're making the choice to be a part. I apologies. Now my husband's deciding to mow the lawn outside. So if you hear anything now,
I did wonder what that noise was.
Now the music's gonna start. The cat's gonna meow. Like it's just gonna be. It's gonna be.
Do you want to take a minute to go be like?
No, because he's actually started. So I do not want to stop him in progress.
Yeah,
but I will mute when after I ask my questions. Sorry. And I have tracks. I can take my mess out. But apologies.
That's fine.
Oh Lordy. I think the other. I mean, I think you've talked about this a little bit too, but like, how has this podcast experience just like affected your life? That's a grand question, but like, how has it affected you? You were talking about, you know, needing to be more comfortable talking to people. Has it made you more of an improviser? What has happened with podcasting?
Are you less fearful of public speaking now?
Yes, absolutely. Good. Check.
Good.
Done.
Good.
Excellent.
That might also be the fact that I am now medicated for whatever troubles I was having. But, you know,
that also helps. Look at that. Double whammy.
That helps. Yeah. That helps. Like Dean Winchester, these guys need therapy. Come on now, guys. Come on.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Yes. Dean does need therapy. That
should be the tagline of the show.
Oh, yeah. We say the Winchesters.
We need therapy. We need therapy.
Winchesters. Though.
You're just
it's so funny. Like that one episode where they get that little bit of therapy, and I'm just like, oh my God, there's so much to unpack. Please stay. No, come make another appointment for Christ's sake.
Especially, I mean, it starts right from season 2 when John says to Dean about having to. Oh my God, I'm sorry. One of my cats is sleeping with her whole face upside down. I can't be expected to work under these conditions. But yeah, when John's like, you're going to have to kill your brother. And then Dean just says nothing until it comes out in an argument. But from there, like all the way through, but certainly in the later seasons, you're like, if you just fucking talk to each other, guys, I swear, if you just sat down and had one fucking conversation, like, do you have any idea how much easier your lives would be?
Listen, we're going through season 9 right now, which is the one where like Dean allows quote unquote Ezekiel to take over Sam's body, right? Mm-hmm. And literally Drew and I are just like, well, we're not going to say it again, but you know, if they talk to each other.
Yep. Like,
so yeah, definitely. But then there would be no plot. And so it's like,
that's a double-edged sword.
That's the rub of it, isn't it? Yeah. That's, to be fair, that's what fan fiction is. The sexiest thing that can happen in fan fiction is when they talk to each other. Bloody hell.
I'm like, can we please just talk to one another?
The
oh my
fact
God,
that AO3 tags exist that say things like Dean Winchester uses his words, Sam Winchester uses his words. Like, oh my God, it's so sexy, guys. Oh God, it's so well. Please.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm trying to answer that question. And I think, oh my God. So I did touch upon that like in a couple of ways, but I really think that, again, the relationships that come out of this are like, if nothing else, I think this is really like what I'm taking from this whole experience. And also like seeing a project through.
Yeah.
When it's tough, you know, I'm a PhD student. I haven't started my dissertation, but I kind of assume that it must feel something like this. You know?
You're well placed to be prepared for that. Because I mean, like,
right.
You've gone through 6. You've gone through the season that had too many plots. You've made it through to the other side. You're so prepared for this. You got this. You're so ready.
Thank you so much, Kasey. I appreciate that.
That's one of the questions I did want to ask because I thought it was so appropriate. You know, this is when I didn't know if you guys were coming back or not, but that you ended at the end of season 8 and Kasey has so many thoughts about that. Episode Sacrifice. Was that, how did you process that? And like how much rage, did you carry a lot of rage for Dean's confession? I would call it confession. Kasey calls it lies. Like, you know, like how did that hit you? And then how did it, I mean, we will listen, but like, especially for Drew too, was that like a big deal for like a finale episode for a season for you guys?
Can you just remind me the exact, because like Dean's Lies is kind of like a very large folder, but can you remind me exactly which one?
Okay. Kasey, it's all Kasey now.
I love that so much. You're like, I have a huge folder of Dean's Lies here. Could you be more specific about that? No, it's specifically in Sacrifice at the end when he says to Sam, don't you dare think that there is anything past or present that I would put in front of you. And he says that with his whole fucking chest in a church on holy consecrated ground with his whole ass chest coming off the back of months of rubbing Sam's nose in Benny and you know, really, and I've had this conversation with friends and we've had to both be like, you know what, right, let's just not talk about this, because I understand that it's a trauma reaction and a response, and Dean's really hurting that Sam didn't look for him in purgatory, and I get it, right, I do, but the thing that you have to understand is I'm coming into this with the Sam is an angel baby man who has never done a thing wrong in his entire life. So he has not. Every bad thing that he has ever done has been at the manipulation of other people, and I will take no further questions on that. But it's like, and I know that Sam antagonizes him in that season, but it's I really find that scene difficult to stomach on the back of what has gone on. And yes, I can pull all the context that I need to pull from the season to make it work, but that he stands there in front of his legitimately dying brother and lies right to his face like that. And I have a lot of issues with the scene.
Okay. All right.
And it's so totally fine.
Like that.
It's totally fine if you're like, but Sam was being a little bitch about it. Like, it's totally fine if you're like, Dean is an angel baby man who has never done a thing wrong a day in his life. We'll have a civil discussion about it, Mary. It's totally fine. Just my feelings.
So it's. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So let me kind of organize my thoughts about this because I haven't really thought about this since like last year. But what I will say is that in that season, I do think that Sam and Dean are in such different places. Like in all of season 8, they're in such a different place. Is that it? Yeah, there you go. Because again, like seeing the show through the queer lens that I see, I'm seeing Sam as like, you know, trying to live life without Dean and trying to have like a life and a wife with Amelia, no matter what people think of that relationship, you know, like that's what he is trying to do or what he is telling himself he's trying to do. But I do think that Dean is trying to do the same thing with Benny as well, right? Like he tried something out in purgatory Like to me, I see the relationship between Dean and Benny as romantic as well, right? Like there seems to be a parallel in that season in the way that it's shot, where they're telling a story about Sam and Amelia, and then like right after they're telling the story about Dean and Benny in a way that just seems very similar to me. And I'm just like, oh, that's interesting.
I'm gonna pin you to the wall here. You're gonna have to come back so we can break into this Destiel thing, because I'm sitting there going, don't ask him about sex and violence. Don't ask him about sex and violence. Don't fucking ask him about sex and violence. It is 9:30 at night, and you have got other shit to do today. Don't ask him about sex and violence. The time is not a problem. The time is not a problem. We have other things to do later on tonight as well. Otherwise, I would monopolize the rest of your fucking day.
I'm sure you have
be
stuff
6
to do
hours.
as well, or we would keep you forever and ever.
I'm assuming that you also have things going on in your life. But no, I'm like, you're gonna have to come back so we can break this down. Because
I would love to, honestly. I mean, again, I really love thinking about this show as like not just the surface, but like because keep in mind that like in 2005, we couldn't have there were very few like actual openly gay people on screen, right? Like, you know, Ross's ex-wife never kissed her new wife on Friends, right? Like this is, it was a thing that was just not allowed. And there's a lot of reasons for that I really, really like would love to get into, but we can't. And so I always, like I said, the way that I saw The Man Who Would Be King, like in that moment, I was like, oh, Dean's gay, right? Or Dean is queer, no matter what the actual label we want to put on it. Like he likes boys. And the moment that I started seeing the show through that lens, I was like, oh shit, okay, now I get it. And I think that that's why Dean has so much anger in that moment, in that season. It's because like he doesn't really have the words, or he doesn't really have the gumption to tell Sam about what's actually happening between him and Benny. And so Sam doesn't understand why he cares about Benny so much. Like he wants to kill Benny. Like he's very, very explicit about that. And so I think that also adds to Dean's anger. And that's kind of a thing that happens to, I want to say closeted, but yeah, I'll use closeted for now. But like closeted queer people, it's like that anger that you can feel when you are so misunderstood by everybody. And I think that like Dean is so consumed by that I think he does not act properly in season 8 at all. Like I prefaced season 8 by saying I have a lot of issues with what Dean does. Because I know that I have done those things in the past. That's kind of how I react to certain things when I'm not checking myself, because he has trauma that is completely unhealed, and he is not able to check himself the way that Sam actually is. And so Sam is on the receiving end of some pretty abusive shit in that season. Yeah. So those are my thoughts about Dean lying to Sam in that moment.
No, that's totally fair. It is one of those moments where, and like, you have to come back because we have so many things to get into with Lord. Like the dynamic between Sam and Dean, and things like that. And it's like I identify so hard with Sam that I'm watching him literally kill himself for his brother's approval. And then he's standing there and lying. I would have respected Dean so much more if he'd have been like, okay, look, right, I fucked up and I'm sorry that you feel this way. I would have even accepted that. I'm sorry you feel that way. Non-apology. I would have accepted that. But no, he's all like, oh no, it's me, the gaslighter. I made you fucking lie to your face. The thing is, I really do think that, I don't think that Dean thinks that he is lying. I think Dean is thinking that he tells the truth. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't think Dean's standing there willfully lying to Sam. Right. I think he truthfully believes what he's saying, and he's confused that Sam would interpret his actions in this manner. And I'm like, baby man, please. Fucking hell. Yeah. I think that is like a really interesting way of looking at that. I completely agree. And this is where we're going to get hate mail. But I do think, I'm sorry, I apologize in advance. But I do think that
Dean tends to sometimes react without checking himself in a way that is very John Winchester.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's what he knows.
Yeah.
Yep. We are, while we are pro ship and we are ship and let ship and we will talk to anybody about anything, we are not John Winchester fans in this car.
No, it's
I will
really
talk
hard.
to you. I will talk to you about John Winchester, and I want to hear anybody that wants to come and talk to me. I want to hear what your thoughts are about John Winchester and why you feel that way. But nobody's ever going to convince me that John Winchester is a good man, and there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
No, but I've read some fan fiction that has given me a little bit, but it depends on the person, a little bit of sympathy for John Winchester. But aside from that, it's like the boys front and center shouldn't have gotten treated though. And then then we wouldn't have a show. I'm like, okay, all right, let's stop with the like chicken and the egg thing. I get it. I'm still allowed to not like a fictional character for some reasons. And that's
But it's also like, of course we wouldn't have a show. And John needs to be the way that he is for the show to happen. And he's the bad person. You know what I mean? Like both things can be true. Or he has, I mean, if we don't want to be absolutists about it, then like we can at least say that he has done bad things.
Yeah.
Right. Particularly when it comes to raising his children.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sitting here now thinking about your sort of thing about Dean and Benny and purgatory, and like that as a metaphor for queer, especially queer men. And I'm just like, oh my God, that fits so perfectly. Because he even says, he's like, there was like, you know, it being there, it felt
it was
pure. Yeah. And that kind of like
he was allowed to be himself.
Yeah. And then being, you know, not being dragged back because he chose to leave because he loves his brother. Whatever. 2 minutes after I'd be like, you're a lying liar, Dean Winchester, and I'll punch you in the face for it.
Dean is very good at lying and at concealing who he is and what he does. Specifically, to me, seeing it through that queer lens, like it's in part because he doesn't want people to know who he really is. Right. And so and for me, that was the moment that I was like, oh, I really like Dean because I understand that on a visceral level.
Yeah. There's so many comparisons that I want to draw to the real life, like there's more than one, to real life, looking at like pride events and queer spaces and
well, I guess you're gonna have to invite me again. I'm just saying.
No, it'd be such a travesty. What will we do? Yeah.
Goodness. Well, Kasey, I'm gonna let you ask your other question that you like to ask of our
other question.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know if you've listened to episodes where we've done this, but don't panic. This one is nothing to do with Sam and Dean or Supernatural or podcasts or the show or anything else. Okay. But adults don't ask other adults this question enough, and I am on a one mortal mission to change that. So, Mary, what is your favorite dinosaur?
Ooh, I don't have an answer that I've thought about, but I really like the ones that fly. Okay. And the reason why, so I recently went, oh my God, I have thoughts. And you have discovered that I am also neurodivergent because I've thought about dinosaurs.
Tell me your thoughts about dinosaurs.
So I recently went to an expo with my son. I have an 11-year-old son, and he loves dinosaurs too, you know, genetic thing. And so we went to this exposition particularly about T-Rexes. And for a long time, I kind of thought that the whole dinosaurs had feathers was kind of just a thing that people said to be edgy, but it turns out that is actually the latest research in archaeology and in that kind of field. It's no, they actually had feathers, especially when they're really young. They're feathered little lizards, and I'm just oh my God, I love that. And the fact that they had feathers at one point, I just feel that they are fully whole when they can fly, and that's why I like the flying ones.
I think that's perfectly valid. Yeah, I'm going to nitpick you a tiny little bit and say that flying reptiles are not dinosaurs. Tiny little bit.
Oh, you destroyed it, Kasey.
Oh no, I'm so sad. But they must have had feathers.
No. Okay. Right. Okay.
Oh no, they did not have feathers either.
No, they did have feathers. But you just
neurodivergent Mary meet neurodivergent Kasey. There you go.
So the thing
about to have a meltdown.
No, they did have feathers. They did. The thing about dinosaurs, right, is the thing that distinguishes dinosaurs from all other lizards is very specifically their pelvis. It is very specifically.
Okay.
They were the first, like it was the first sort of evolution of, if you look at modern day lizards now, their legs split out and then they go down. So you look at like crocodilians or anything, dinosaurs' legs came straight down from their hips. So it was this adaptation, this evolution that enabled them to sort of start standing up on their back legs from the reptiles that came before that needed to walk on all fours, and allowed them to evolve and adapt and like take over in the manner that they did. So all dinosaurs are reptiles, but not all reptiles are dinosaurs. So the flying reptiles, the pterosaurs, they get lumped in because they have saw at the end. They do get lumped in. That's why. But they're reptiles, but they're not dinosaurs. But the expo, like I'm not sitting here claiming to know more than the literal dinosaur expo that you went to with the dinosaur experts. But they did have feathers. And if you like, dependent on how deep the expo went in, not dependent on your personal interest in Wikipedia and dinosaurs, we are getting to a point scientifically now where we are able to pull pigments from fossils.
Yes, I saw that. Isn't that insane? I love that.
That's fucking wild. That's so, like, because you think like 20 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, and we had like BBC's Walking with Dinosaurs, which was absolutely groundbreaking for its time.
Yeah.
And everything was like grey and green. And that was just the color. And like in the span of like half of my lifetime, we've come along and gone, hey, we know so much fucking more about this now, and we're starting to figure out what colors they were, and they had feathers, and they did this.
I know.
And that's so cool. So yes, they did have feathers, but I suppose maybe you'd think like chicken, maybe they could do a little bit of a flutter, but not like a full takeoff like a dog. I'm so sorry.
That's fine. I'm going to have to process that on my own time. I will parent my feelings about it. But I appreciate the information. I would rather know than not know. So thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
I will then, if I can't have the flying ones because they're not dinosaurs.
I'm so sorry.
That's fine. I'll name the Albertosaurus as my favorite dinosaur, simply because it is from Alberta, which, I have mixed feelings about, but it is from Canada, and, a little bit of representation on there.
Nice. Yeah. There we go. Look at that.
That's awesome. Oh my God, look at it though. It's like a little baby T-Rex.
It is like a little baby T-Rex. And at the expo that we went to, I was like, I didn't even know that like you could have multiple sized T-Rexes, right? And the little tiny ones were actually so cute. I was like, I could have that as a pet. Like that is cute,
Oh my God, that's so cute. Oh, I really like that.
Mary, a little bit of both. You got a little bit of both of us. You got a little bit of me, you got a little bit of Kasey. Perfect combination. Awesome. Perfect combination. We are going to let you go though, because it's been about 2 hours, but I wanted to close out with one more question. And we would love to have you back for another discussion. We'll have to come up with something that you can come back and chat with us about.
No, we have it.
Kasey has thoughts. Kasey has thoughts. So
Kasey's like, no, we have it. We know what we're doing.
No, we have it. You're gonna come back, and we're gonna talk about looking at Supernatural through a queer lens, and discussing like Destiel versus other ships, and we're going to have a civil discussion where I will be super polite about sex and violence in the way that you view the show. It's going to be
I'm so interested about that. I feel like there's going to be a lot to dig into, especially about sex and violence.
It's going to be great.
I have many thoughts about that episode.
Oh my goodness. Great. But to wrap up this conversation. No. We've loved having you. But I just know we're running on like 2 hours, and you've got to have stuff to do too. So we want to let you get ready to go. I mean, this is a big day for you, right? Like you've got the podcast debuting again. It's Supernatural's 20th. Like, we're gonna like do a little rewatch, and in our Discord and stuff. So it's just like, getting a chance to just celebrate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think for me, one of my like questions for you is, what advice would you give to other creators who might be thinking about starting a podcast? Like they're creative and they want to do the thing. What would you tell them?
I would tell them to do the thing. Like, and that might sound kind of silly because like I went into this with a lot of forethought and this and that, but like honestly, just do the thing. Try to do it. Like don't spend too much time thinking about it, and just do it, because the best version of it will only come once you have gone through a couple of iterations of it. Like try something change it if it doesn't work. Keep the stuff that you like, and just be yourself in front of the mic, because that's what podcasts are about. It's all about who you are.
I like that. I think that's what we did. We're just going to do the thing and see what happens.
We certainly did not go into this with the amount of prep that you did.
Yeah,
absolutely. We were like, woo!
But I think it's great, like you said too. Every podcasts can all have their place in it, right? Like not everything is a cookie cutter, and everybody's got different points of view to add to it, or a different way of looking at it. And I'm really glad that we got the chance to chat with you. This has been so much fun, and I'm so glad you came on.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and thanks for reaching out. Honestly, it's really great. Yeah. I had such a blast.
Yay!
I look forward to the next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'm actually looking forward to finding some time to listen to you guys again and get back into your thoughts and stuff about the episode. So I can't wait. Good luck. Congratulations. So I think it's lovely that you're coming back.
Yes.
But yeah, feel free. Now, I always tell our guests, feel free to exit out. If you need me to exit you out, I will. I won't report you to Zoom. But otherwise, we will do our outro on the other side after you say ciao, ciao. But we do truly appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations again. And thanks for doing the thing for the fandom. I know a lot of people appreciate you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Honestly, that means a lot. Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you. So thanks you both very, very much.
Yeah. Enjoy Blues Fest.
Yeah, it started up again. I'm like, oh my God. I haven't heard it. Open my windows. I'm so hot.
I haven't heard anything. So you're probably safe.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. All right. Well, that's good. Well, thank you both so much. It was honestly such a pleasure. And I really do hope that we get a chance to do this again.
Yes, we absolutely will. And you have a lovely rest of your day, whatever you're doing with
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
You enjoyed yourself, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
You enjoyed yourself. The dinosaurs, there's a lot to talk about. Yeah.
But that is literally, that is the literal definition of what I mean when I say that we are pro ship and we are ship and let ship, because that's I want to please, I want to talk to people. I if you don't ship the same things I ship, or you don't see the show the same way that I see it, or you see it, Sandra, come and talk to me. I want to have a conversation with you. I'm so interested to learn your POV. And Mary had so many interesting takes about the thing about purgatory. That's really in my head.
I think that's the great thing, though, about talking to somebody who has that viewpoint of discussions are good and healthy, and you don't have to be, it has to be this way or that way.
Yeah, nobody's trying to change anybody's mind about anything. We're just going, talk to me. I want to hear it.
I think, and again, maybe at some point we unpack more, but I think, a couple of instances we had really did make us gun shy about, reaching out, because I do think that there is something to say legitimately about being pro ship. You can like what you like, you can write what you want to write. You have to be respectful of other people wanting to write. And again, it doesn't have to be my cup of tea, but doesn't mean I have to bash it. And I think that's an important thing that's been lost. And I mean, I didn't expect anything else but that kind of a conversation from Mary, because she's so very thoughtful when you listen to her on the podcast, and how, she really does look at it, she gets interested in other people's thoughts and aspects, just like we do. When we have people come on, I want to hear your story. I want to hear what you love about this show. What makes you a Dean fan, a Sam fan? Why do you relate to whoever? All those kinds of things. I think it depends on the person that you're able to have the discussion with. I think that's a big key component. And I think we've grown in that as well. I think we probably haven't always been that way, but I think we're more open to those conversations now. You know what I mean? Instead of just shutting it down. I think for me, it's more of a fear of, what am I going to have to contend with on the other side of it? I get more worried about, am I really going to have to try to debate you because I'm not that person? I'll listen.
Yeah.
But unless it's something I'm vehemently opposed to, it's not worth the effort to be right. I'd rather just hear your opinion and take that in and give myself time to come on the other side of it.
You know me, and I love a good debate, and I love I'll play devil's advocate all day long. Come on now. But it's never well, now it isn't. I can't say it's always been this way because I've spent a lot of my life being like, I have to be right. It is important that I am right and you acknowledge that I am right. But now it's much more like, I want to see why somebody is at a place. And I will say that is not universal. You know, like opinions are opinions and facts are facts. And we are not going to agree to disagree on like human rights.
But this is a show. Like this is a show.
Fictional
like the context
show.
Of it. Yeah. Like
that's
this is a show. Yeah.
That's exactly it. And I think one of like from talking to Mary that we're pulling in the same direction, you know. We're looking at it through different lenses and different lived experiences. And, you know, I stand by what I said. That's my favorite thing about doing this podcast is getting to speak to people and seeing how they interact with the show, you know, based on their lived experience. You know, we're all reading from the same song sheet. We're all coming from the same source material, but everybody interprets it a little bit different. And it's my favorite thing. But we're all kind of pulling in the same direction, you know, when we talk about like looking back with 2025 eyes and, you know, things that were never funny even then, but we didn't see it then and things like that. It's favorite bit.
For me, it's a lot of growth, like, and everybody's at different points of growth, right? And I think there's an understanding of seeing that wasn't, you know, right back then, but also like the growth that people like, you know, that people do sometimes a light bulb does go off, and when it goes on, and when it does, it's a great thing to experience. And I think fiction can help people do that in a way that sometimes real life can't, and then it makes the real life part easier. Like it's like, you know, certain things occur in fiction that then makes the real life part take hold, and like, okay, I get this now.
And I mean, if you know, if fiction didn't help people realize these things, stories wouldn't exist.
Right. Yeah.
You know, when you look back at the oldest kinds of like oral stories in there, you know, they're a message. My cats have been so good the whole time Mary was here, and now they're like, nope, now is the fucking time. It's pom-pom o'clock, bitches. Why are you like this? And Xena has Jigs' pom-pom, and this cannot be allowed to stand. It's a travesty. It's the Lion King reenactment in my house. Yeah, like, you know, those you know, like Bible stories and religious text stories, and you take it even further than that. If they didn't have any bearing on life, they wouldn't have lasted, and they wouldn't have survived. And you know, not to keep quoting Mark Shepard, but the things that Supernatural addresses, the stories it tells, the lessons it tries to teach, they're still very fucking relevant.
Yeah,
even 20 years on.
Yes,
for real.
No, this is great. I had such a
blast,
conversation.
Absolute blast. I got to info dump about dinosaurs.
You did. I was like, oh, there they go. There they go.
Yeah.
Having fun. That's good.
I don't want to ruin this for you, but I need you to know that. That's
I think Mary will be able to process it. I think Mary will be okay.
Sit with her feelings and
yeah.
I'm very proud of her.
I think we should definitely wrap up because, like I said, it is anniversary day and we are planning to do a rewatch. So we need to wrap up because I think I need to eat something before we get to that.
Yes.
But we really do appreciate Mary taking the time. It's such a big day for her. So we just thank her. And I can't wait to
So make sure, obviously this episode isn't going out on the 13th, but make sure you do hop on over to Carrying Wayward and give them a listen as well.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap up this episode while my husband mows outside. And we want to thank you for listening and let us know what you thought. You can email us at idlinginttheimpala@gmail.com. You can comment on Spotify in the Q&A section, leave a YouTube comment, join our Discord, and chat with fellow idlers and us in real time. Check out our merch store, which is another fun way to show your support. You can find details for everything on our website. That's idlinginttheimpala.com. Want to fuel our Supernatural road trip? Consider joining us on Ko-fi. We have perks to go along with different membership tiers and would love to have you along for the ride.
Speaking of perks, we've got special shout outs for some of our Ko-fi members. From our Shotgun Picks the Music tier, we've got Runaway Dreamer, Crowley's Mistress, Samandine76, Elia, Charlie, and Just Whispering Fantasies. Thank you for picking the tunes in the car. Support like yours keeps our podcast going. Thank you. Don't forget, though, you can always support us for free by liking, commenting, subscribing on YouTube, and following, rating, sharing on audio platforms. Engagement like that really helps us with the algorithms. All hail their benevolence. As always, we have the causes we support in the description. So from me, you have LGBTQ plus talking charities. From Sandra, you have mental health charities. And of course, the main causes that we are always highlighting, championing, spotlighting are World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders. If you want to know more about these causes, why we're supporting them, what they mean to us, check out idlinginmeandparlor.com. There's a page there called Causes Cause with all the details. So with that, we will say a huge thank you to Mary for joining us. We can't wait to have you back. Thank you, listeners, for joining us in the back seat. Happy Supernatural Anniversary Day, however you are spending it, celebrating it, rewatching the pilot like we are, or just...
Let us know what you did. Yeah.
Let us know what you did.
Let us know what you did.
Sniffling into a tissue going, how has it been 5 years since it ended and 20 years since it started Breaking Bad? But thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.